Hello, and welcome to Cali Cocktail Hour. Tonight we have a great show. Hope everybody's doing good out there. I'm excited to have Bryan Valenzuela, good friend, great artist, great friend. Um, we'll be talking about his artwork and how everybody's feeling tonight, and what's going on with California and the reopening, and how you doing with that out there. And so we'd like to thank you for coming out here and being part of the show, which you always are every Friday. We're trying to get back on track to to get back more consistently. So it's been a little bit hard, a little bit rough to mitigate what's going on with the opening, and kind of getting back into a groove with that too. We know people are out, and we know people are everybody's everywhere, so that's great. So anyways, we'd like to know who's out there. If you'd like to say hello, this show is about you. Please ask questions, because the show is about you and is about everybody out there. And I'm really excited to see Bryan. We're going to talk about our trip to Oaxaca. We're going to talk about anything you want to talk about. And but right now, I would like to thank you for coming, and we're going to play a song, and from Bryan, from a band Exquisite Core. And also, so sit back, relax, go get your drink. We'll come back right now, and I will bring you up with the song, and Bryan, and everybody. So stay back, okay? And we'll be right back.
There's just something about you, something I can't replace, acting purely on faith. It tells me every which way. You are a drop in this pond, and I am a wave on the sea. We are so small yet so large now. We are so bound yet so free. And I want what I want so bad. 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 You are a drop in this pond, and I am a wave on the sea. We are so small yet so large now. We are so bound yet so free. And I want what I want so bad. And I want what I want so bad. And I want what I want so bad. And I want what I want so bad.
Thank you.
All right. That was Bryan Valenzuela. Welcome. That was a beautiful song. I love that
Thanks,
band.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you. That makes me miss playing music.
I know. I was
Really miss
watching
playing
that.
music.
Yeah. And Bryan and I know each other from playing music, so it was a
Yeah.
very parallel universe that we'd played in, right?
It's pretty
Um,
it's pretty funny that both of us met playing music,
yeah.
right? Started playing music, started playing all around Sacramento and hanging out, and then both of us are now artists or
Yeah.
visual artists. I mean, we were both always doing visual art, but
Yeah.
it kind of transitioned into like more full time of that.
Yeah. And it's cool. I mean, I love that part. I love, I think it was a very not long-lived venue on 21st. I think when I saw you play there too for the Kids Core. I think it was an art gallery space.
Oh, where was that one?
Like
On
on
23rd?
is
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I
yeah.
think the one. There has been so many venues that have come
That's
and
right.
gone.
That's
It's
right.
crazy. The city shuts down all the venues.
Yeah, which is true too, because it would be a very beautiful, I always saw someone like Sacramento lacks a soundtrack right now because there's not really a lot of clubs you can walk around and. Although I did see a reggae show the other day, so maybe it's
That's
coming
cool.
back too. Yeah,
Where did you see a reggae show?
at Holy Diver. Yeah,
Cool.
it was different. I lasted about 20 minutes because I don't think I was used to not wearing a mask in a club or.
Or just being around massive amounts of people again,
Yeah.
like smashed in and sweaty.
Yeah, and the beautiful part. I mean, the beautiful thing was the sound and the crowd. I haven't heard that in so long. Besides my mentally, I'm out of here kind of thing. But I just the sound and the crowd cheering, and I was like, wow, okay, we're back.
I
in
forget
that way
what
too.
I forget what I was listening to yesterday, but it was like a podcast, and someone was saying, I just can't wait to hear someone on a mic, like on a a kind of a distorted, messed up like speakers mic, and just kind of like kind of going for it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I kind of missed that,
Yeah.
missed that feeling.
And I'd like to thank you for coming out to Cali Cocktail Hour. Everybody out there, we would like to thank you for coming. If you want to talk about anything at all, we are here for you too. Two sensitive artists.
Sensitive guy.
Two sensitive guys out here. Everybody out there, so you have any questions, please post. If you want to say hi, please post. We'll bring up some comments. I know they're. I'm kind of a lurker too on social media too, so I understand that some people just will sit back and watch. And
some
that's
people
good.
will comment on everything.
Yeah. So I've been lurking myself in Clubhouse, so I totally get it.
What's Clubhouse?
Clubhouse is it's a phone app that you connect with different groups of people. So, but it's not a visual one. It's more like you can put your phone down and listen and work, and there all these you're in these groups and people talk and you can raise your hand. It's actually
That's
very
interesting.
it's a really good community, I think,
It's
for art.
it's
Yeah,
just on your phone.
yeah, it's just on the phone. Yeah, so it's like almost
Huh.
anti-Zoom, anti this, where
Anti-Zoom.
you don't have to see anybody, But still, it's still a little bit nerve-wracking.
I mean, okay, I've been on a number of Zoom meetings in the last year, and this seems like a much better platform. Obviously, it was created by you. like the whole thing, the background. It's not as stale, obviously,
Oh yeah.
because it's made by an artist instead of
Yeah.
instead of business.
Yeah, my friend
That's
Andrew,
what
who does he does a really cool show too on that too. So, yeah. So how have you been? How are you? I should say. How's your week going?
Man, I've been pretty great. I've been pretty isolated, and not going out much. But I moved out into the country
Yeah.
from being from in the city for most of my life. I moved out into the country, and so it's been, man. I get really inspired by nature. So seeing the stars again on a
Yeah.
nightly basis has been kind of like amazing. And then just seeing waking up early, seeing actually being able to see the sunrise and sunset, and
Yeah.
this is all very nurturing to me.
Well, and how do you think that's going to affect your artwork or influence your artwork, I should say, too.
I think it will influence it greatly, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I think obviously it will take some time. I was talking to our friend Nico, right? He's a
Yeah.
journalist, and he was talking to me about that. He's like, "Oh, it takes like a year, huh? It takes like a year for like your environment to sort of seep into for him his writing,
Yeah.
and for me artwork, or and for same thing for you. It's like wherever you reside, it takes a while and it'll start seeping in. Like our
Yeah.
trip to Oaxaca, I mean, I feel like it's still seeping into me.
Yeah. I feel like we got suspended from celebrating that too, right? To come
Totally.
back and yeah.
Well, I mean, our plan was to go again the next year, which was
Yeah.
2020, and that got sidelined. So maybe that we'll be able to come back 2021
Yeah.
to
So
Oaxaca.
how's the how is everything out there? I mean, like I know it's a different environment, and like I said, like Nico said, it's like it's going to change, probably a little bit of your artwork too, and we have some video of or a slideshow of a place that we went to Oaxaca, and just the patterns of nature were, that's one of my favorite ones, patterns of nature. That nature is the artist, right? And
Yeah, you and I kind of like respond are in that way to those things. They're like details almost of nature. They almost like fractal out and are almost like it's like a microcosm, macrocosm type thing. Because like some of the things, like some of these photos that you're probably going to show in a while, they almost look like landscapes, but they're not. They're tiny. They're tiny rock formations, and it almost looks like you're in a plane looking at it from 30,000 feet rather than sort of like looking at it from just like 3 feet above the ground.
And yeah, I mean they're beautiful, like you said. A little bit. Do you have maybe move your candle a little bit toward your face a little bit more?
Oh yeah.
You're very wonderfully mysterious right now. I just need to see a little bit
We
more
love
of
the
you.
mystery.
There you go. Yes.
I was trying to get into
Oh, you're into
the
it.
Cali Cocktail Vibe by
Yeah.
Low Light Vibe.
I am having a sip of mezcal right now. So cheers to everyone out there. We know it's a little hard out there right now too. People are, cheers, salud. We know it's a little hard out there. Coming into the opening, because going to a store, it's for me it's strange too. Like going to a supermarket, have people wear masks, or although they have the vaccinated, unvaccinated sign out there, it's still, I would say 75% of people are wearing, masks out there too. So, oh, we got a cheers from Zach. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Happy anniversary, Zach. Yes, I knew it would last. I knew it would. He also comment on that too. So, Brian,
You say a happy anniversary. How long has he been
married for? He's been married for a long time. 30
good.
years, I think, maybe.
Man.
I think.
What a feat.
Maybe I'm not.
What a feat these
Maybe,
days.
yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Thank you, sir. Yes. Yeah. So, happy anniversary to you. And
I just got
Christy.
married.
Yeah.
So I hope we last 30 years.
Yeah.
So.
And congratulations. Oh, see, 30 years. I was right. Damn.
Nice.
That's part of my thing that I do. I remember, not dates. Yeah. So I've known Zach from long childhood, from a long time ago. So, but yeah. So you just got married. So congratulations.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah. So hopefully I will meet Sarah when I go down and visit you.
It's been pretty intense, like a pandemic romance, a love in the time of COVID.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. That's what the show was named first.
I know. I love it.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, shit, we're out. And I was like, oh, I got to change the name because we're out of COVID. I'm like, nope, wrong. Too early.
Wrong.
Too soon. So
I mean,
cheers to you. And congratulations, Jack. Congratulations to you.
Cheers to Zach.
Cheers, everybody out there too. And we have congrats for your marriage, Brian, from Alda.
Thank you, Elda.
Alda we have another congratulations from Zach too.
Thanks, Zach.
And Alda is the one that got me into the NFT art world. So I just, yeah. So
Ruben's been kind of like downloading all of what he's learned, maybe from Alda, about the NFT world, and sort of trying to get me into it, which I think it sounds so intriguing.
But it's weird.
but it's very.
I sound like a crypto bro. I'm a bro with the bit chain and all that stuff. I'm gonna mint NFT. Um, yeah, so let's like I said, everybody out there, welcome to Cali Cocktail Hour, and yeah. So we both do. We're both like talking to each other, like, hey, did you hear this? And she is also on Clubhouse too, so that's another one. So if you want, so if you want to, oh, hey Chris, how you doing? Oh, Chris is here. And, nice to see you, Chris. Yeah. So Bryan, and we did talk about music, right? We did talk about like how we met, and you think you were in Call Me Ishmael. I was in probably, I think I was probably in Moth Spy before.
You were in Moth Spy.
Yeah.
You played a show at the old Capitol Garage together. Yeah. We were on the same bill, and then we started
that wasn't like
chatting and becoming friends.
Man, I saw you from across the room. I need to know him.
It was love at first sight.
That's right. That was before COVID, before anybody. But and so like I said, we play plenty of shows around here, different bands and different venues, but when did that start changing for you into going into I think you and I talked about how much energy one thing takes, so you can't technically play in a band and then do artwork too, because it does take the energy of that.
Okay, it's like, especially when you're the person running the band, and at the time I was running a band that was upwards of 7 to 8 people, and that's really intense. And so you're kind of like scheduling everyone's time. You're because like most of the time people in bands, they kind of like want to like hang out, play their instrument, create music. But if you want to be in a band, there's like a whole other side to it. Meaning, like, if you really want to like do like what a band does, go on tour, like have people come to your show, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's like an endless amount of things that people don't think about when they're thinking about that kind of thing, and someone has to be running it, And so like that's like it's
tiring.
It's exhausting.
Herding cats, right?
Yeah, it's for herding cats. It's exhausting, and I mean, and I think that everyone in the band that I was in were so kind and very appreciative. But I just, I think that at a time I was just not interested in that level of like I don't know. There's a thing where you want things to happen faster. You know what I mean? Like because like you said, herding cats. And so it's like if I want to create something. Now, as an artist working in my studio, the upside of it is that I can just go create it, and I can just go make it, and I don't have to like have a conference with everybody or like. But then there's the downside too, which is like that collaboration is like really fun and really amazing in that kind of community, but it can be exhausting.
Yeah, I always said you can play any fucking note you want to. Right.
Me too.
That's how it is now,
Well, with like, so you played the song, and in the last band that I was in, I wrote all the string parts for the girls, and I mean that was awesome because they're classical musicians. They come from a different world. They're not used to writing their own parts. But it kind of started like towards the end of the band. It kind of started evolving into that, where they were kind of coming up with their own parts a little bit, and then I would refine them or like help them do that. But I mean, if you're going to collaborate, I like that. It's like, I don't play whatever you want. Let's see what happens. And then that note, let's fix that part or do whatever we can with that. But it's pretty intense to be like controlling the whole thing in a way, and like I don't know. I mean, how much you want to control the music or art, where you kind of want to let it control itself, right? Like,
and not hurt people's feelings, right? That was always my thing. I'm like, okay, well that sounds great, but I'm like, no, So I'm gonna pull up some artwork right now from you, and it's gonna be not random, but what is kind of random. So, but we should talk about it too, because like I said, there's a lot of people that want to know, what you do, and a lot of times what you feeling, and I know that you have lots of feelings. I know that we talked a lot before So I'm gonna pull something up. Maybe we can refresh our memories and maybe where it's at. I don't. I think most of these are located in Sacramento. I think maybe, but it'd be good to know because I would love to go see him again too. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's pull this one up.
So yeah, this one is in Sacramento, and this is actually the guy who was building this building was interested in a mural, but was kind of like it was on under a fast timeline, and
Yeah.
so I had him look at some sketches of things, and we kind of decided on one direction. So this one actually is actually a smaller portion of a bigger idea, and this smaller portion of a bigger idea, the bigger idea that I pitched to somewhere else, was supposed to deal with the elements, four
Yeah.
elements, the four seasons, 4 times a day, and four acts of growing in the because it was like dealing with like the Sacramento Valley or the Central Valley in California, and the act of like your hands in the water, in the soil, and being like kind of like connected to nature. And so this one was actually summer, and it was the season. The element was water, and the act was of maturation, or of like when things are growing, but that you need to like maintain the growing. So that was like, it's kind of like a water bearer, like that sort of ancient mythological idea of the water bearer.
Yeah.
Someone bringing the water and like helping things to grow, sort of like a female figure, and in nature. So that's where this one is. This one's in Sacramento. It's on Broadway and
Is it?
16th Street.
Yeah. And what kind of paint is that on there too? I mean, what kind of paint used on there?
So the background is all painted with a brush, and then the all of the some people know what I do, but most
Yeah.
of what I do is deal with like narrative and story, and using like small and larger handwritten words in order to carve out like light, shadow, shape. And so that's what all the black and white portions are. And all the black and white portions are using an acrylic marker, and in different nibs. So there's like different like pin sizes of like really tiny to like larger. That's so. I mean, if you go to like from here, it's one thing, right? But then if you go up closer, you can start to like pick out words. You can start to pick out information. You can start to like read whole passages. Some of those passages descend into the darkness and get covered up like secrets, and some
Yeah.
of them like come to the fore, and but really it's an act of paying attention and kind of looking closer. But honestly, you don't have to do that. It's like
Yeah.
it's a moment of revelation if you do, but if you don't, then you can just like enjoy it for what it is, from 10 feet back, from 20 feet, 30 feet, from a block away, and it could be what it is.
Yeah. And I remember seeing people at one of your shows. I think it was and I think it was at the convention center, and people were really amazed about, there was a lot of buzz around your booth. I think you were at a booth this time.
It was
Um,
probably the Sacramento Arts Festival.
yeah, yeah. So, and this is an up close one, right, as well too.
Yeah, so that you can see up close on the fingers, and then like some of the brushwork, but on the like the water.
Yeah,
But I just like that idea, though, the idea of like encoded information in a way.
yeah, yeah. That's
Um, the idea that there's like it's like DNA almost, that there's information that's running underneath a language that's running underneath the world that's hidden from view unless you look closer.
yeah, and for me too, it's like I always think that there's some symbolism when I look for things and codes in life, right? So if I were to go up there and look at it, I'm like, oh, I needed to see that word today.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's almost like, when you're like looking at, what is it? I don't know. Sometimes people post things on Facebook or whatever, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the 3 words that you pick out are your
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever." But
yeah,
it's kind of like that in a way, because I will notice that, because I will be writing a whole narrative or a whole story, that I somewhat have pre-written. That's like a script that's maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 pages long. During the process, I write it like lyrics, like it's like singing almost. I
Yeah.
write it like lyrics so that I can memorize it, and then writing like lyrics and memorizing it, I can basically just draw, and then I can kind of like veer off from it and come
Yeah.
back to the script. But in that way, it's like I'm just doing that. But then when someone comes and looks at it, they can pick out like certain things. I'm surprised what people pick out
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So Aldo wants to know how long did it take you to do that?
Uh, that particular mural, it took me 18 days,
Okay. Wow.
almost 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks.
Of just oh, I think we have one. We have some. Yeah. Is that the action shot right there?
That's yeah. There's an action shot.
That's right. So, um,
The That's just painting some of the water in the background, which is like a close up, like we were talking about the fractals of nature,
yeah.
and is a close up of like some of the ripples of the Sacramento River
Oh, okay.
or of the American River, actually.
Just
Sorry.
just elements. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, like I said, I think that I've seen some of the murals. I've seen you painting some. I'm amazed about the murals that you do. I'm amazed with
Thanks, man.
how big they are, and all the wonderful stuff. So, and knowing you, I don't really tell you that much because I think you know that from my heart anyway. So
Well, I
I'm on
mean,
Brian. You're
I
you're an
would.
ass.
I feel like that we wouldn't hang out if we didn't respect each other's work.
Yeah, but here's to this, and cheers to everybody out there for coming. And this is Brian Valenzuela, a wonderful artist, wonderful, sensitive person. If you have any questions, please ask, and we're going to go through some more artwork. I'm going to play a video of one of the. I think I did see. Well, hold on, we may have some questions. I don't want to. Oh, Heather says, "Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Another wonderful artist, Heather. That's cool. Okay, see, there you go. What is the story encoded in the mural?
So I wrote a for that particular mural, and for everything that I do, I wrote a long sort of script. That mural or that one is dealing with the water rights, and some of the acts of that are of maturation, which what like I had mentioned before with that mural, it was dealing with an element. It was dealing with a time of year, like a season, and a time of day, and an act of growing. And so it's a kind of like I write in a somewhat of a poetic nature, more lyrical, a little bit like psychedelic, a little bit, like impressionistic. That's like sort of vibing off of all of those concepts.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring it back up because we have another question too. Thanks, Chris, for the question. Keep them on. It's really helped me a lot with the question. So we do have. Well, Heather said cheers, and then
Yes.
who is your inspiration? Is what we have.
Yeah,
Thank you, Lorraine.
man, that's like I feel like I get inspired by like almost everything I look at. But I would say that the original inspiration from when I was younger and in college had to do like I was trying to pull together. I think a number of things from Chuck Close, right? Chuck Close is an artist who does like very like realism, like hyper realism almost, to something and like bridging the gap between like a Jean-Michel Basquiat, which is like, which I kind of have veered away from. But these are the two poles, I would
Yeah.
say, of what I'm interested in. But man, I just recently went to I was in Madrid last year, right before the pandemic, which
Yeah.
is crazy. But at the Contemporary Museum, there was a David Hockney exhibit. There was, I'm very in love with David Hockney. He's like one of the best artists of this era, and even though he's older and of a different generation, but I mean, there's so many amazing artists to find inspiration from.
Did you
Ruben.
Well, well, thank you very much. Um, Did you do you have like a certain inspiration too, like off that, like for each mural, or it just comes out what like you said you write, because I know that you write, you're a lyricist too, right?
Yeah.
You wrote, you're a lead singer, you wrote the songs, which I think goes into your artwork, right? So
Yeah.
it's a form of music, a form of rhythm,
Man, it's like
melody, right?
I feel like the whole thing's is rhythm, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do the thing that I do, which is like writing in
yeah.
that way, if there wasn't a rhythm. And so, I mean, wait, what was the question?
Oh,
um,
no, no, I was just saying that that's I can see that now, right? I can see that, we talk about like, I played electronic music. I had a different, all
yeah, you're
this.
coming from that
Yeah,
you're coming from that angle on a visual art. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. So it's interesting to see like when now, I mean, not that I didn't connect it before, but listening to you talk and listening, like knowing that you're also a singer, lead singer, a vocalist, or what do you call it, a lyricist too. It would go into what you're doing there. Yeah,
Totally. I think that, I mean, although for the most part,
yeah,
no one's around when I'm doing the mural, I feel like it's like a performance
yeah,
because I'm memorizing all the words, whether it's 5 to 10 pages long, whatever it is. And I still have it to, refer to on
yeah,
paper, but like, and it's like lyrics, you know what I mean? Like you could have a lead sheet or whatever, but for the most part, when you're performing, you're trying to like perform the lyrics and perform the content of
yeah.
the piece. So,
And we have
I,
another. Oh, God.
oh no, I was just saying that every each of the murals or works, I feel like has like many layers of information and or complexity that you can dive into or you cannot dive into. It's really but I try to put it there
Yeah,
because think about, I mean, I always think about Stanley Kubrick. I think about Stanley Kubrick researching a film for 2 3 years before he actually starts making the film. And then so you got to know that there's like all this stuff in there that's basically either like it's hidden, or if it's like the energy of it, whatever it is, it's in there.
yeah. Well, we have another question for you too, which I love. This gives, when people ask questions, it gives me happiness too. So it helps me out too. Where did you study your craft?
Man, I studied artwork at Sac State. Sac
Nice.
State was probably still is a really great fountain of knowledge in the art world, I think, and especially for the community of Sacramento. There's some really great teachers there. Some of the teachers that I went to college with, they're gone,
Yeah.
and one who specifically. Her name was Linda Day. She was only there for 2 years. She was there in a window when I was there. She moved on to Long Beach State, and she passed away. But man, she was very inspirational to me. And I think that a lot of the what people kind of rag on state schools a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I feel like you get like a personal relationship with the teachers.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question about that too. So, how did she inspire? Like, what did she do to, why did she stand out?
She man, she was like a funky lady. She was like a hard person to like uh, please in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She kind of like, obviously you want to like do good for a teacher, but she had so much knowledge about
Yeah.
artwork, and she knew specific. She lived in New York for a long time, and she knew specifically some of the artists. Like she was friends with them, some of the artists that I was inspired by, and so that was like hearing some of the stories of these artists that she's talking about from the
Yeah.
70s and the 1980s, being like real people,
Yeah.
instead of just being kind of like these people that you read about. Man, that's like priceless
Yeah.
information.
And then Lorraine said, "Wow, really, Sacramento?
What does that mean?
I mean, it's really awesome."
Okay.
um, and also, Chris asked another question for you. Do the words come first or the images when you are creating?
Man, so I always think of it like music, and like writing music, whereas sometimes the music comes first and then you try to write lyrics and a story to that, or sometimes the image comes first and then you try to write and you try to write something based on that. But I would say for the most part, it's an image first, and then trying to come up with the narrative that kind of like wraps around it.
Nice. So you got that.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, and so sometimes, what about when someone, if you get a commission or something like that, does that change your direction of how you
I
put
don't
it
think
out? Or?
I'm a little bit, how do I say, I feel like when I get a commission, I really try to push the certain ideas that, and not try to do other people's ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So like if someone says, "Hey, I'd like to commission you to paint this, whatever
yeah,
it is," I kind of go, "I don't think I'm your person."
yeah,
Like I don't. There's so many artists who would do that, and I'm not one of them. If you are interested in my work and you want to commission me to do something, I will give you a bunch of ideas. We can
yeah,
go over them, and then we can choose from there which direction.
yeah, and I really do understand understand that point too, because I don't
Yeah,
like to do that at all, just because you never get what they want, right? Yeah, they'll
yeah.
like, I don't want, so we do have a
Well, I
question.
mean,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
that you showed.
yeah.
I mean, just quick
Oh
small
yeah,
story.
the
The
juice.
guy who was the building owner, he was like really liked my work, wanted me to do a mural on it, was trying to promote the arts on his building. Really cool. He's a really nice guy, really cool. But like his idea for it was to paint
I
paint
remember.
to paint a portrait of Chris Cornell singing like. And I was like, "Oh, but why would I do that?" He's all, "Because Chris Cornell is awesome." And I was like, "Oh, dude, Chris Cornell is awesome. But why would you have that on your building? We don't even live in Seattle. We live in Sacramento." Like, and so there was a conversation, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? But it's like if I just did what he wanted, I wouldn't feel good about it.
yeah. We'll see, and
Someone
that's the
else
story.
might.
So now, when you go by that mural, you'll see it.
Could be Chris Cornell.
Yeah, we just on there. So, what is your Facebook website? Oh yeah, see, that's perfect. There you go. Here it is
So
on there.
my Facebook is just my name, but
Yeah,
and so is my website.
yeah. So here's the website down there. Everybody else. Oh, let's see. We have this. We'll leave that on there for you. Let's see. Do you ever go to San Francisco, look at the murals, and get inspired? Which you did do a mural
I
in San
did a mural
Francisco.
in San Francisco, and
Yeah.
I frequently go to murals to see murals in San Francisco and get inspired. A lot of great artists there.
And speaking of watching murals and getting inspired, Brian and I went to a little town in Oaxaca called Sachila, which were beautiful murals. We went to a mural festival there, and there was some fucking beautiful shit there.
Man, it's crazy
Yeah,
how amazing. Not just Oaxaca, but the small towns outside of Oaxaca, the
yeah,
major city around that area are, and how much creativity not just the artists have, but just
yeah,
kind of everyone in general. Like obviously, I went through a bunch of photos, and for the tonight, which didn't actually pan out, but some of those photos show just random families, right?
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah,
a family creating things,
yeah,
together for the festival, for their ancestors and for their loved ones that had passed away, and they're all creating it together. So it's not
yeah.
just the artists. It's like,
Do you remember the sand murals?
see, that's what I'm talking about. I was looking
Yeah,
through those pictures of the sand murals, and it's just
the
like
sand murals
it's
are
just
beautiful.
these families that are working together. Obviously, there's probably one person in the family that's more creative than the others, and that's kind of leading the show.
Yeah,
But like everyone's kind of putting their hands in there. It's pretty cool. It's like it's so different than in here in that way.
yeah. And we are going to have a part two show there of Brian and I and Nick, if we'll get him on here too. When we went to Oaxaca, because we were going to do a show, and we were going to show you some really beautiful images that Brian took, and some beautiful patterns, and they look like paintings, right?
They are. They're
So
nature's paintings.
so we did know something. We did drink some really good mezcal, and
We
these
did.
little guys were made for one of our artist friend Omar Hernandez out there in Oaxaca too. Beautiful artwork and beautiful ceramics. Just really different in what they do out there. So that's an awesome
So
thing to go.
it's really cool what your friend Omar has done, which is like he's created not only these little glasses, right?
Yeah.
These little copas,
Yeah.
but he's like an artist in his own right and creating these installations in his shop, right downtown. Yeah. And one of the installations that really hit me that I thought was really cool is because you see these gas cans everywhere. Yeah. And you see like gas cans, and they're full of mezcal. They're gas cans that have mezcal in them, because that's how you like go to the local palenque or wherever, and like get mezcal straight from the still. And then he had like a bunch of ceramic ones that were hanging all over the place. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, those are so cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so cool.
So let's go to I'm going to bring up a video of yours because it is the mural that you did over. Oh, hold on a second. When is your next show, Ruben? Well, we were going to do a show because we were actually talking about doing an art show with all our photos and kind of the trip that we took to Oaxaca, because it was really a spiritual, very beautiful show. I mean, I think we I don't think in
it's hard to like talk about it.
Yeah, in Oaxaca, the story is I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Duermo cuando muero, right? So that's true. We're like, I think we died about 20 times there, but we're still living. Like, okay, I'll meet you here, and but you have all this energy, right? You just go, right? And I told everybody, you go to Oaxaca for Dia de los Muertos, right? And you look through a crack in a building, and you'll look in there, and there's a freaking party going on in there, or something going on. We went to the cemetery, remember that? And it was just amazing. We're at a freaking cemetery, and there's different ones, but the concert in the cemetery, remember that one? That was
so like so the earthquake had happened 4 or 5 years before that, and they had not renovated it enough to where people could go inside it. So that when we went, it was 2019, and it was the first time they had opened it since the earthquake. So these guys set up like a concert in there, and we went and like just stumbled upon it because we were just going to like look at all the graves and stuff, and look at all the like altares that were around. And man, these guys it was some of the best music I've ever heard.
Yeah, all different kinds. And hola, Serge is in Santa Monica, huh? Oh yeah, see, Serge wants to go to Oaxaca too. Now, every time I go to Oaxaca, I see someone from Sacramento. Not just one person, but multiple person. I mean, not that they go. Some people will go meet me down there, and I'll show them around and do like that. But I literally run into people from Sacramento in Oaxaca. It's really strange. I mean, just strange, and it's it is a very beautiful place and I go there because I know that my mom is there. I know that my two moms are there, and I know that my family who has passed is there, and that's why I like to go. And I know that it is a very spiritual time, and it's a spiritual time for a reason. It's not yes, there is some tourists, but the tourists are different there than I mean, it's a very beautiful, respectful,
for the most part, yeah,
right. It's a very respectful place. So
check this out. Like I have traveled all around Europe, and I remember going to Switzerland this one time and seeing Americans in Switzerland on the streets just throwing bottles in the street. Switzerland is clean.
Yeah.
But throwing bottles and just glass spraying everywhere and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, just like real embarrassed, but to be an American at that point. But Americans don't act like that in Oaxaca, or the ones that are attracted to that place.
Yeah. And I think it's because it's more of a cultural place, right? They they want to know about culture. It's a different. I mean, maybe on the coast it's different, but inland it's a different. And I'm really happy that you came and met me down there. It was
cool.
It was an exciting time, and it's not over yet, dude. It's part one, part two. So
it's not over.
So excuse my when I say dude, I'm still from California, right?
I know. No, we
Um,
are. It's the Cali Cocktail Hour.
yeah, that's right. Lorraine says, "I love your photos, Ruben. Thank you very much." And like I said, Brian and I, we're gonna do a show. Maybe it's a year or two from the time we went, but today when Brian was sending pictures, he's like, "Hey, so I sent you some stuff, but I was like too stuck into the moment, right? Taking you back to
Man,
where
it
you
took me
were."
forever. Like, took
Yeah,
me forever to go through. Okay, so I took like 2,000
yeah.
photos.
Oh, I know.
And so to pare them down to even 100 was
Hmm.
really tough. And then like what? Like no one's gonna look at 100 pictures right now.
Well, yeah. So, yeah. So we'll get them all together, right? Um, so I'm gonna bring up I think it's only like a minute clip, but I think it's really cool to look at the kind of the scope of everything, how it is on there. So let's bring that up real quick. Sorry. Usually I have like someone. There you
Oh,
go.
cool.
Yeah.
That's an in-process photo of a mural. This is in Sacramento, and this is by the Natural Foods Co-op, and it's on 28th Street between R and S Street. And you can kind of see the microcosm, macrocosm of a large hand, but that's entirely made out of text and narrative and story. That's just the beginning of it. So,
So
or you can.
that is a big ass. I mean, that's a huge mural, right?
It's
So
that one was 90 feet by 30 feet.
yeah. So, and I'm gonna quiz you on this. Not quiz you, but ask you. Um, how do you scale something like that? How do you go? Okay, I'm gonna do that because I really, as a, I'm gonna steal your style. So right now, this is my controversial question. No, no. How did you scale that? Because I seen you painting. I mean, I was there watching you do it during that time, but it's still
I
amazing.
mean, okay. So earlier I had mentioned David Hockney, right?
Yeah,
And David Hockney really wrote a book in the 1980s talking about the Renaissance and talking about the idea of the camera lucida. The camera lucida is a tool that
yeah,
Renaissance artists used in order to like blow things up, right? To scale, to different scales. And
yeah,
so that's like the modern version of that is a projector.
yeah,
So I will take an outline or like a line drawing. And so because when you're working on something that's like that large,
yeah,
that's like so large, I would just be going back and forth and going up and down and trying to get the like proportions right.
yeah,
But and some people are able to do it. It's not. I mean, the other part takes me so long to do that I just don't really. I don't want to invest in trying to freehand the whole thing.
yeah,
So having that kind of like outline within to work in from a projector, and
yeah.
that's man, honestly, that's 95% of murals probably.
Yeah, no, yeah, but it's still freaking amazing, right? To
Yeah,
to scale something
I mean,
like
because
that.
you're only projecting the outline. It's like it's
Yeah,
not the finished product. So
yeah,
you have to shade it, you have to mold it, you have to like do all these things to make it happen. Um, but that at least gets you to where the proportions and stuff are right. Just because I'm dealing with a figure, like
yeah,
if I was dealing with something that was abstract or something that was like a little more cartoonish or
yeah,
stuff like that, it wouldn't matter. But
yeah. That's pretty awesome. But when I seen you, I went by watching. I was just amazed. So that's all. That's all I wanted to add.
thanks.
I never told you that because I was jealous to say if I was amazed.
Yeah, right. Get out of here.
So this is what I learned on Clubhouse. Okay, I'm going to reset the room. Everybody, thank you for coming out to Cali Cocktail Hour, and thank you, Brian, for coming out tonight. So we're going to go into a little section that we talk about. It's the Oprah Winfrey section. It's called Game
Ooh,
of
I
the
love
Oprah,
it.
and Oprah is one
Who
of
doesn't
my
love Oprah?
yeah, she's one of my inspirations here on doing Cali Cocktail Hour because we talk about empaths and how we emote to people, right? We're sensitive. We do. I can't stop it. I wouldn't change it, but I know there's a lot of people out there that are like that. But let me ask you a question too, real quick, because I think we talked about this. Oh, sorry. I keep thinking I have a little thing on my lip, but it's actually the lights. It's embarrassing. Um,
Oh, me too.
but let me ask you.
It's hot, so I'm
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sweating.
So I have problems with sleeping. Right, I wake up in the middle of the night. My brain's active, and I sit back, and so I'm learning techniques. As I keep learning techniques, different ones. And how is your sleep? I mean, are you a good sleeper, or because I'm really
Okay.
interested in people. I'm always like, do you sleep good? My girlfriend's an awesome sleeper. Melissa's
And,
awesome.
man,
Yeah.
I'm a world class sleeper. Like,
Oh, you are? God damn it.
unfortunately, man, I can just, like, go to sleep at the drop of a dime.
Yes.
Um, 80%, 85
Yeah.
percent of the time,
Yeah.
probably 85% of the time. There's the 15% which where I know about my like I'm stressed out or something's
Yeah.
happening and I'm thinking about something and then I can't sleep, and then the harder you try to sleep, the less
Yes. Right.
the less you are grasping it. You know what I mean? It's like a Zen thing. You gotta like not think about it.
Not think about sleeping.
Yeah. No, but that's most of the time. But there are those times when I have trouble sleeping, and I think that I just listened to that book that Michael Pollan put out about caffeine, and I
Yeah.
feel like caffeine might like really affect my. I love coffee, and I drink probably too much coffee because working it helps with work. But I think that I probably those nights that I'm having a problem, it might have to do with caffeine. To be honest,
And that's me. I'm really trying to stop my caffeine intake too.
yeah,
Everybody out there, and the thing too is, when I get, I also have self doubts a lot too, right? For some
yeah.
reason in my sleep,
See,
you know,
that's
I
when I'm not sleeping. That's it.
well, I always tell everybody
Too,
like,
also,
if you want to like get a question out of me or an answer, wait till I'm really sleepy or tired because I can't control it. So I
then
think
ask the question.
yeah, and then I think the thoughts like they're like little ghosts. They wait for me to like not have that that ability to reach back out. So, but I know that it sounds I've been into this gratitude thing lately, right? And just it's hot, right? It's hot, or it's something going on in life is and I really reach out to the things that I really can like really happy about, like things that you don't even think about, right? But if you think about like, hey, I'm really grateful that I'm sleeping in a bed, right? Things that we don't even think about, like these little things in life that are really essential. And for me, it's helped me a lot when I wake up in the nighttime. I know at if I'm going through something, I'm going through like a stressful moment, and I go back to in this moment, I am here right now, right? What can I
Yeah,
do at this point? Um, but it's interesting because I heard this podcast a little bit with Oprah, and a couple of things that was said that was like really rang true to me. So I'm gonna play it now. But we will play the intro, and it's called "What's Up." Basically it's in Spanish. It's called "What's Up, Oprah," or no, or
what's
"What's Up."
up, bro?
Yeah, what's or "What's Up with Oprah." So we're gonna play that, and we're bringing it right now. Okay.
Ask oneself.
Well, I think one needs to look at what bounty and blessings have I received from the universe that I want to acknowledge and celebrate? What do I want to celebrate about today? What
That's so
happened
true.
today that I can celebrate, that I can be grateful for? And rather than waking up in the morning, I didn't get enough sleep, and going to bed at night with, I didn't get enough done, which is bookending your day
Yeah.
with scarcity.
I think this is interesting for us to think about how many times a day that tape plays of not enough.
Yeah.
Not just in money. How many times the not enough shows up?
But what if we woke up in the morning and are so grateful for the sweet territory of silence and sleep? What if we go to bed at night?
Ooh, I love that. Hold on a moment. The sweet territory of silence and sleep. I like that. Go ahead.
And you can wake up that way. You can actually tell yourself to do that. Our mind is very obedient, even if it's just 4 hours. And be grateful for that. And then at the end of the day, rather than looking at what didn't get done that's going to dribble over into tomorrow, which is where we mostly end up each day,
Yes.
to look at what I accomplished today, what I celebrate today. You know, today, every day is such a blessing. And I have a wonderful teacher now, Brother David Stendelrost, fantastic Benedictine monk. And he's the icon of gratefulness. And he says that gratefulness is the experience of the great fullness of life. And when you're in the great fullness of life, the bowl of life is so full, it's almost overflowing, but not quite. Not yet dribbling over the edges. And you're one with God, one with the universe, and there is no other. When you stand in and live in the great fullness of life. And that great fullness is so powerful that it overflows into a fountain, the bowl of life. And that puts you in this other branch of gratitude he calls Thanksgiving. And when you're in the branch of gratitude called Thanksgiving, the bowl of life is overflowing. And you're so grateful that there's an other, because all you want to do is give and share and serve and contribute. And that's so fulfilling. It puts you back in the great fullness of life. So you
Yes.
can live in that cycle. You can actually live in that cycle no matter what your financial circumstances.
So,
Man, that's good.
well, and for me, you know, it was actually the grateful that I had 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, you know, I'm like, okay, fine, I can do that. I can change my mental attitude toward, and it's helped me a lot. You know, because I used to stress out, like wake up in the morning, I'm like, I can't sleep. Well, there's something going on. You know, because you automatically assume that there's
I feel like
something.
that makes it worse.
Yeah, right.
Like when I feel like when you're stressing about like, oh, I'm not getting enough sleep,
Yeah,
then you're
exactly.
like, oh, I have so much to do tomorrow. Then you're like, man, that makes it worse.
Yeah, right. And so changing your changing the verbiage of what you're doing helps a lot, right? Finding, you know, my friend Andrew does the show, the Great Joy Hunt, right? And just knowing the things that we have, you know, because like I said, look, there's a lot of things I don't have, right? There's a lot of things that, you know, blah, blah, whatever the case may be, but there's a lot of things I do have, and a lot of things that we do have in our own little lives, well, it's just little lives, but in our own lives that are, you know, that we should be, you know, grateful for, because, you know, those are the things that are the simple and that we sometimes overlook.
As
You know?
as I was telling you, I
Yeah.
moved to the country, right?
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
in the country, like, and being surrounded by nature, you know, like there could be a lot of problems that you have, and then you're like, man, you like look outside and you're like, we live in like an actual paradise. Especially if you're just like around nature and not
Yeah.
around like like the human civilization that was streets and grids
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But man, but even that, you know, like New York City is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
And it is, you know, I think over at my studio, it's by the freeway, right? And I always tell people, I'm like, well, it's like, well, the freeway. I'm like, yeah, but think about the freeway. The freeway is like, the car sounds are like an ocean.
amazing.
It's an
It's
ocean
pretty
sound.
amazing.
It's a, yeah, right. It's so,
But
sometimes,
also the human ingenuity that have made
yeah,
that thing,
yeah.
you know.
And so the, you know, the little things I think, you know, kind of help in, you know, in life. And I think that's part of, the art. Well, I wouldn't say the artist mind is finding those little things, that those little patterns, and, you know, I think it's the everyday life, right? Because we can
Yeah.
find that. Like you go out, you walk outside, and there's a beautiful flower, right? And the flower is like the pattern of the flower, the nature. I mean,
Totally, man.
they're all different,
It's just the artist's
right?
mind, like what you're saying. The artist's mind is basically just paying attention.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, you know, can be that part, right? That, you know, like, well, I'm not an artist. I'm like, yeah, actually, you are.
You are.
You know, you just
See,
it's a very
that's that thing that we were talking about with the Oaxaca, with the families that
yeah,
are getting into the mix, making these sand paintings.
yeah,
And it's like, you think you're not an artist, but man, you're not just an artist or
yeah,
not an artist. Art is a practice. It's like meditation. It's like
yeah,
yoga. It's like exercising. It's like all those kinds of things. It's a practice.
yeah. And you know, people out there that are like, you know, coloring, right, or they're doing something, like, you get lost in that. You're meditating, right? You take a walk. You're looking at the trees. You're looking at the squirrel. Whatever you're looking at, you know, like, for me, that's part of, the absorbance of life, and that's how for me, that's how you slow down time. Because if not, if you don't notice these things and you just walk through life without noticing things, and things that become annoying are actually beautiful once you look at them. Like, all
Someone had
right, well,
a question before
yeah,
about where I went to school and in Sacramento, and there was this one teacher, and his name Kurt von Meyer. He's a weird guy, but he was
awesome,
like a myth. It was the classes I took from him were art and mythology, and this guy was like, I mean, he was like really deep into this stuff, Egyptian like magic and all this kind of stuff, tarot cards, all this, but I mean, his whole thing was basically was basically recognizing what you're talking about,
yeah,
recognizing tapping into that thing, tapping into the things around you and being able to like make those things come to life.
yeah. I think that's within all of us, right?
It's within everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the human story. That's what I think.
yeah. Well, everybody, thank you for coming out to Cali Cocktail Hour. We're gonna get a little more, some more artwork in there, some more murals, and if you have any questions for Brian, we're here for you. And thank you for coming out on this beautiful, hot here in Sacramento summer night. So let's go to another one of your art pieces. Was that art pieces? What's the actual word for that?
Pieces.
Pieces. I
Yeah,
like
they're
pieces. Yeah.
pieces.
All right, another piece right now from Cali Cocktail Hour. There you go. This, this
This
was
is a
yeah.
mural that's in Napa. Um, and this actually happened right after I was commissioned to do this right after the Napa fires that raged all over. I mean, there's ones that happened last year too, but this was in 2018. And they asked me to do whatever I wanted on this wall, but I kind of took it as an opportunity to comment on
Yeah.
a relevant topic. And the relevant topic was that the community kind of pulls together in the face of tragedy. So I have a lot of like gold and representative of smoke, or I'm sorry, representative of flames, and
Yeah.
then some like silver representative of smoke swirling in the background all around someone pulling someone out of it. So
Okay, that's
um,
nice. Yeah.
and I mean, the idea that someone can that we
You know,
need community. Basically, we need a community to help pull us out of whatever is going on.
yeah, yeah, and sometimes tragedy, right, pulls everybody together, right? And so, um, before we go on that, Zara says, "Nice to see you both." Nice to see you, Zara.
Nice to see you, Zara.
Yeah. And then Alda said, "Thank you." I think before that too. Um, Alda, yeah, thank you too.
Thanks, Alda.
Yeah. And the image of hand seems to be a theme. Now,
Yeah.
how would you elaborate on that?
I would say that for murals, which is like more like public work,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I tend to gravitate towards a universal representation of humanity rather
Yeah.
than a specific representation. So if you start doing portraits of someone, that looks like a specific person. But like
Yeah.
most people's hands, they look very similar. Like I have done our friend Harley White's hand.
Yeah.
He's an African American guy. I have done like my mom's hands. She's a Mexican woman. I have done other people's hands. They all look the same, you
Yeah.
know. And so it's kind of like a universal like
Well,
representation.
it's funny. It's like once you say that about the fires, and it does have someone helping each other out. That's what it reminds me of too. And now I can
Well,
see the.
the crazy thing is that during the making of that mural, you frequently get people that are coming up to you and talking to you. And one of the persons was, they literally went through that experience. And they were trapped and a fireman came and got them out of like a predicament where they were not going to be able to get out. And it was like a literal, they literally with a helping hand pulled them out of a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
So
that is cool. Where is that in Napa?
this is in Napa at the train station.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
In the town of Napa, not necessarily, which is, there's a town and then there's the county or the,
Yeah.
but it's in the town.
Awesome. Well, Teresa says hola. Hola, Teresa. How you doing?
Hola.
Yeah. Teresa's doing, I think, I don't want to misquote, but she's doing to get some murals under the freeways on the pillars. I think they're called pillars. Yeah. And good. I think they're doing a lot of. They're getting a lot of leeway on that, so that's good. So let's go to this. Did we do this one already?
No, man.
Yeah, there you go.
This is in San Francisco, in North Beach, actually, and they asked me to do a mural that was basically based on, that was commenting on the city,
Yeah, yeah.
So I actually took the city's seal, the emblem of the city, like the city seal, and the city seal has a miner on one side that's like getting gold from the hills. Yeah. And then it has like a ship and a sailor on the other side getting, as far as like commerce and shipping. And then in the middle is a phoenix rising from the flames. Okay. So, I kind of messed around with that concept, and I got rid of the phoenix rising from the flames and put what is the city seals, or the city's city flower, which is a dahlia. And then the dahlia is representative of a diversity, because there's so many petals that make one bloom. And so as San Francisco is a multicultural city that makes one bloom, but is like so many petals, right? So I replaced the fire, which I don't think anyone wants fire on their building, with the dahlia, and then put to the left, which is the bay waters, and someone and these male hands that are actually my dad's hands, my father's hands, pulling something out of the sea with a giant rope. And then the female hands that are on the right that are pulling gold from the hills of California. So it was a abstracted version of their city seal.
Wow, that's awesome. We have the blues of the doors and the lamp really add to the piece.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Like, man, blue is like one of my favorite. Wow. Every time I say what my favorite color is, then I go, hey, I like green.
Yeah, but didn't we talk about that house that in Oaxaca that we saw that was blue, like multiple colors, multiple? I was like, what the fuck? How many shades of blue are you gonna put on a house? But I was like, it really worked. I was like, fuck,
it really
awesome.
worked.
Yeah.
But it's like, the thing about Oaxaca is that they're not afraid of color.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. It's like, you're like, those colors aren't supposed to be together, but
I don't think people should be afraid of color, and yet so many people are afraid of color. I'm just going to bring one. It's not controversial, but one thing up. But it's like, there's a mural in town that was recently painted over, and it's such a beautiful mural by Andrew Schultz, who's a really famous international artist, and it was in San Francisco, or in Sacramento. And it got painted over, man. And, I just don't understand for myself, like, painting over some beautiful, colorful mural with like just a beige,
Yeah, that's weird.
No, I don't know. I'm not the building owner, so.
Oh, it all, that's the thing too. It's always been at the building owner.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Murray says, hi, Uncle. Hey, Murray, how you doing? Thanks for coming out.
Hi.
An awesome person too. Teresa said, put a message to my two sons in your new mural in Art Vermont.
Oh, cool.
I haven't seen it yet. She said, thank you.
Thank you.
it had a lot of graffiti tagging on it. Maya said,
I heard about that, but it
yeah,
doesn't mean you got to paint the whole thing over.
yeah.
I
Well,
understand that. I understand what Maya's saying, but
yeah, and
painting over the whole mural for some tagging that's on the bottom 5 feet of a 3-story thing.
well, it's hard. It's hard to like I said, to paint over something because I think Sacramento has a no offense, thing about taking things down and and then regretting it afterwards, right? Like
Well, it's like what if someone would paint over a Diego Rivera mural and then
yeah, because
it's like
it is.
wow, what okay.
Well, it's hard to get them back, right? And there's no. I
You're
mean,
never
that's just part of
gonna
life.
get it back,
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
I know that.
You're never going to
I
get Andrew Schultz to come back to town after you painted over his mural. And
yeah,
that guy is a really good artist.
yeah. And I see, like I interviewed this guy from an artist from L.A. about that too, about his mural being painted over, and um,
Well,
and
I had asked a couple questions to somebody in the community who might
yeah,
know about it. And I
yeah,
said, well, I'm not a street artist. I don't come from that background, even though I make murals. And so maybe like it's tragic for me, but they're okay with it.
yeah.
And
Well,
that guy he has graduated or not graduated. That's not the right term, but he has migrated
yeah,
towards galleries, doing gallery work, but he was a street artist,
yeah.
and so it's like, maybe he's okay with that. So,
Well, Chris says, have you done any painting that was controversial?
um,
Wasn't the painting of me like pointing toward the sun with thongs on, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
did a nude portrait of Ruben.
yeah.
It was very
Something very controversial.
controversial.
So
No, yeah. I don't.
yeah,
What did Maya say? I was bummed
that's
to
right.
see it go, but the tagging with the Christian, yeah, was lame. That's too bad. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I understand. I'm just lamenting Maya.
Well, but that's true though. You know what I mean? Like people like will say, well, we had to build a fucking. I'm sorry, we had to build a grocery store over where the what was it, the Alhambra Theater was, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh well, it was
Oh,
it was
really?
it was
You
it was
did?
yeah, it was falling apart. I'm like,
Like, why did you
okay,
do that?
right? But it's just these things that we look at that are impermanent, or and there has to be another solution to that stuff. You can't regain that stuff,
Well, I love
and it's, well, especially
new,
for the artist though. The artist,
yeah.
I did interview Jose Arguello. He was from Los Angeles. He had some, he did some paintings and some murals in Chicago, in artists like just big ones, and they took them down, and you can just feel it in their heart that is a crusher to the heart, to the artist,
Oh man, not
and it's like,
okay, to do a mural, let's just think about this. To do a mural, you have to go through numerous like hurdles, right?
yeah,
So you have to like get it approved by the building owner. You have to get it approved by people who are commissioning it, all this kind of stuff. So like, that is the business process, and then
yeah,
the process of actually like coming up with the idea, and then the process of actually um, uh, like executing the idea. Wow,
yeah.
like of course it breaks your heart.
Yeah, and it's it's always hindsight too. It's not like it's what
I
can you
just
do?
don't. I never understand why beige is better than even a
Color.
tagging. Even a
Yeah.
tagging, you know.
Well, I mean, can it be beautiful tagging?
But some tagging is
'Cause
beautiful. Some tagging is
yeah,
really
I know,
terrible.
I know.
But some
It's
tagging is
horrible.
beautiful.
It's horrible to do that, anyways. But the Alhambra is so beautiful, unfortunate. Yeah, and it is. The Alhambra was beautiful, and but what can you do about it, right? It happened, but
Yeah, that's over. Yeah.
like I said, it's like it's crushing to the artists themselves, even though they're probably not part of the community anymore. But to have something somewhere, it is crushing to see your stuff just be washed away, right, and then
Yeah.
replaced by something that's,
There's different
in a
there's
way,
different
right?
types of artists though.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There's different types of artists. Like I'm not one of those
yeah,
artists, an ephemeral artist. I like to see things last for a while.
Yeah.
But there is other people who will more enjoy
Yeah.
that idea of it's gonna go away.
Yeah,
Anytime.
yeah, and, and it's like a sand mandala, right? I mean, the monks they spent all this time doing all this stuff, and it's going to go away. But I'm back into talking about the artist that I interviewed. He said that he was so disappointed that his art was painted over that he started doing glass mosaic pieces. He's all because they can't paint over that.
Yeah.
He's all they can't do that. This is it. So that's what I thought was funny. He's like he was pretty
But
like yeah
like the glass mosaic pieces, that's a lot more money.
yeah.
So it takes a lot more to produce.
So Chris says, the controversy wasn't the mural of the that was
It was. Yeah.
That's another story and another show.
We could talk about that.
No, we can't. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Brian and I,
it's neither one of us, so
Yeah.
I can't talk about it from personal experience. But
Yeah.
I know that that was a discrepancy between the festival
yeah,
and the artist, and they thought that the guy was that was at a time when contracts for that festival were not being used. So the guy, the artist was like going to do whatever he wants. It wasn't going to be based on his older work. So
yeah.
it's it was a gamble.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and there is a lot of there's always with art. There's always going to be controversy. There's always going to be like what is approved, what is not approved. Some of the best artwork I think was taken down during when they started boarding up certain parts of the city, and there's some really beautiful artwork out there, but those are down too.
Yeah.
So and
I always think that as far as what Chris's question was,
Yeah.
is that if I'm ever doing anything that's controversial, I always like it's more about doing something subversive, right?
yeah. Well,
That someone sees as not the powers that be see as not being controversial, and yet the ideas behind and that are in the deeper layers of that piece are.
and you scream, right? Either you can sneak it in there, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that for you, and then
Well,
you
I
sneak it
know.
in there, right?
Especially
And then you're
with the
like,
work I do, which
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm saying.
words. You can sneak a lot of stuff in there. So.
Yeah, and that's what I love about when you go to Mexico, there's no hiding. People think like Mexico. One awesome thing about Mexico is like, especially the art down there, is like you can say anything you want about any politician you want. You can throw a rat with a politician coming out of the rat. It's just all over the street. Here it's a little more tame, right? Is because it has to do with the the owners of the building, right, approving the artwork too. So you have a lot of different
So
constraints
are
here,
you
right?
saying that in Oaxaca or Mexico City that the owners of the building do not have to approve of the mural that's going over it?
I think that I mean, obviously when you drive through the countrysides, right, you see all these like artwork that
just
is
like on
crazy.
the highway. Stuff
Highways,
that,
it's just crazy, right? It's like all these it's really beautiful though. When I was in Cuba it was the same way, right? In Cuba they had like all this like we can but theirs was different because theirs was like we can do it together. There was more of a community of like we're in this together in a weird way, in a different way, but a very artistic way. So it's just interesting to see like we do have a lot of freedom here, right? And a lot of freedom of
and then there's like a lot of stranglehold.
yes, that's what I mean. So that's the interesting part for me, like to see that together. So let's see. That's the one right there. Way more than I ever thought. Teresa. Subversive, yeah. And subversive, like it really is someone who screams or someone who kind of puts it in there, right, and sneaks it in there, and they go, okay, well, and it's kind of like outsmarting somebody, right, or outdoing what they want you to do too.
Yeah, I feel like more subversive art is stuff that's more mysterious, even.
Yeah,
and the mystery is good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and everybody out there, thank you for coming out, and actually, Maya, thank you for coming out and actually commenting on stuff too, because we'd love to hear from you too, and everybody out there. So before we go on, I need to do one more little shot of mezcal, right? For
So
everything
let's
good, para
everything
todo
is
bien, para todo mal, right? For everything good. So let's go into your
so.
next piece. Yeah,
I was gonna say. So I have brought out a good bottle of mezcal for you,
nice.
which is this Ray Campero,
Yeah,
and it's a Madre Quiche. And I didn't know that much about mezcal until I went to Oaxaca with you. And so mezcal is like a whole other rabbit hole that you can go down.
yeah,
Which is, I mean, what they say Oaxaca is the Napa Valley of mezcal.
yeah, and
So it's like that. And so what was her name? Erica.
yeah, yeah,
She told us about this brand, that brand.
yeah.
So
And anybody who wants to go to Oaxaca this year for Dia de los Muertos, I'll be down there. So hopefully Brian will be down there. Hopefully Sarah will be down there.
yeah,
Come on down. I'll show you around. I get friends and a good community down there. Really beautiful people.
that is a
Really
great
beautiful art.
community.
Yeah. So let's go to another. Did we do this one?
We did
Yes.
that one.
Sorry.
We did that one.
Okay. So up close, right? We talked
That's
about that before.
this is up close to that San Francisco mural,
Yeah.
which is, let me remind you, 40 feet high. And
Yeah.
so it's pretty large. And that's a small part of it,
So 40 feet.
But there's a lot of rooms,
Yeah.
right, that are bordering there, because it was done for a hotel. So there's a lot of rooms that are bordering that, and so you can actually see like really a lot of detail from some of those rooms.
So may I read what I see in there right now as an improv?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this is what I see. And this is the beautiful part about this whole what you do is people can see what they see, the words that they see, right?
Right.
So I am going to do a performance piece right now of what I see. Is that okay?
I love it. Yeah.
All right. In a different voice.
Oh, is it gonna be the same voice?
Secrets, granite, sand, born in the translucent. For lot, load.
How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's what I
You know,
that's what I saw, right?
The narrative that I wrote for this piece, because this is the one from San Francisco, is, man, I went deep into the history of San Francisco from the Native Americans all the way to the contemporary era, and wrote an impressionistic history, and then that was the narrative.
Wow.
From like all the way through the miners and the hippies and the like the tech boom and all that kind of stuff, but all the way from the from nothing, no people, to the Native Americans that inhabited the area for such a long time, to the missionaries and the Spanish, and all the way. So that was the story.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Chris wants to know, is there a complete text online anywhere?
I don't do that, and
The mystery?
I can't indulge in the mystery of it.
Yeah.
So.
And Teresa says too.
Man, I have really flirted with the idea of what Chris is talking about.
Yeah.
Which is to just put all the scripts and the narratives like in a more readable fashion. But I feel like it's like a more interesting journey to like sort of see it piece by piece.
Yeah. And I like what Alda is doing, and she is seeing what she sees, right?
Mm.
If anybody out there, look at this real quick and tell us what you see, what words you see, because, I want to go back to Oaxaca real quick, but I believe in myself. When I travel, I see spirits, right? I see people that talk to me, that are there for me at that moment in time, right?
Yeah.
I'll never meet them again. I'll never see them again, but they will give me some words of wisdom, some words of life. And I feel the same thing about words. Sometimes I'll look at them like, oh, okay, what does that mean, to me, right? And
I think words are powerful, man.
Yeah, right, yeah.
and not only are words powerful, they evoke
right?
and they invoke, they evoke, and then
Yeah.
they invoke, and meaning that that they evoke something that exists, and then they invoke things from that are from another world that don't exist.
Yeah. And
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 I,
I
I
right?
mean, I know that I'm not a materialist, so
Yeah.
I mean,
But I do believe that, that we are in that moment in time, this is what we need to hear. Like, I want to know, Alda, what does that mean to you? Right? What does home evaporating mean? Right? Did I say right?
yeah,
And then
evaporating.
and then Myra, hello Myra, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
And transformative,
transformative.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I would love to know what that means to you. It's almost like a tarot card, right? Or the I Ching, right?
yeah.
The I Ching
Oh
only
yeah,
the I Ching
so
only
good.
the unknown knows the unknown, right? And so,
Oh, man.
what does this mean to you at this moment in time, right? You may be thinking about something, but those words really mean something to you, or that word does. Okay, well, something that I've been contemplating in my life, right? Transformative, right? Um, yeah, and that I mean that's how I see things in life too, right? As also patterns in life, but it's interesting to see different people have different like understandings of life too. So
Yeah, and it's like the way I do these things, which is like there's no punctuation.
yeah, I'm
So
good with that.
if there's no punctuation, then words are running into words, sentences are smashing into other sentences,
I love you for that, by the way.
into the fact that there's like a meaning taken from two words juxtaposed that weren't in the same sentence. You know?
See, and then Myers says carving secrets into the earth,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. Like that, we all find different meanings in our own, in our own time, right? So let me
Yeah.
pull this out there here. Yeah. So I'm gonna pull up a video of like I think 30 seconds video too of the words and stuff like that too, because like I think it's interesting for people to to look at that too, because oh, we have another one. I wonder how much text is absorbed by the subconscious. I would think a lot, right? I mean, I would think that that's kind of how we
So does
yeah.
Chris mean for the viewer or the for the artist?
Chris. Um,
Probably for the viewer is what he means, but yeah.
come on, Brian, come
But I
on.
mean,
Yeah.
is at the same time, I feel like the text is absorbed into me too. Like, yes, for the viewer,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
But,
And like I know that like when people will come up to you and like right now in the background right here, right? I have a Lao Tzu saying, right?
mhm.
And it is one of my favorite sayings, but it's like be careful what you water your dreams with, right? And you just water them with
Yeah,
with positivity, and just make sure you don't. It's a whole different story, but there is certain words that I feel like for this show too, like there is maybe one sentence that someone had to hear, or one part of the show that, okay, now I get it, that we and I think it is that simple sometimes in life, where you have to hear one sentence to get to, like I was going through this thing about the opening of California, or the opening and COVID and all this stuff, and I was very a little bit on the anxiety side, but I didn't know what it was. And then I read something in the news which was really ironic, but it said you don't have to go back to normal, you can go back to better, right? And I was like, okay, that makes way more sense. I can do things that I don't have to go back to where I was, because I was really like I didn't want to go back to there, right? To where pre-pandemic was, what I was always just going out trying to
I
trying to
mean,
do all this stuff. Yeah,
I really respond to what you're saying because I
yeah,
feel like one of the disappointments for me about what happened in the last year is that I have had a lot of hope about humanity coming to grips with
yeah,
with itself,
yeah,
and with wanting to like heal from some of the scars of the past. And And I think people just want to get back to normal instead of to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing for me.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to realize that too. I think people, like from what I know, that I've talked to people, like they don't want to go back. They want to go back to something better than they had before, right? We're
Yeah,
always
man,
rushed,
for
and
sure.
and I think that's super important. That for me too. And like I don't want to go back to normal. I mean, I found a very comfortable space. Like yes, I do need people around me, but I don't need that many people around me, right?
Yeah.
That's why I had toured the
I moved out
metaverse.
to the country.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. So, but everybody has their, what they need to do and what they need. But I think people like that this year really kind of accelerated that, which I think is a really good thing in the long run. So, but yeah, let's go back to one more piece for yours right here, the one at Art Fair Mall.
So
Right,
this
this is
one
the
I
newest
just
piece.
recently did at Arden Fair Mall, and I probably finished it a month ago, a little bit over a month ago.
Yeah, I love the
So
colors.
usually, what I do, actually, the crazy thing about this is that I proposed this piece before the pandemic, you know,
I remember that.
and
Yeah,
it was about the idea. I was looking at a lot of Picasso works at the time, and so this is kind of like a riff on a Picasso drawing or painting, and where he's at a certain time he was really interested in the woman that he was with, who was like sleeping a lot, like
yeah,
the idea of dreams, the idea of like, and so I was like so fascinated with some of these paintings, the idea of dreams, the idea of like the subconscious that coming to the fore, all that kind of stuff. And so I proposed this idea, and they were cool with it. They wanted to do it, and then the pandemic hit, boom. And so it actually became more poignant, I think, after the pandemic,
yeah,
because
yeah,
the idea of 2020, and then the idea was to actually not use my own words, which I always do.
yeah,
I always use my own narrative, my own story, but to crowdsource all of the text and ask people who are either passing by or who are engaging on the online to give us their dreams for 2021.
yeah,
And so, and for the idea of moving forward out of the year of lockdown, or and out of a year for tragedy for some
yeah,
people,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. And so I think that it became more poignant at that point, and to dream about what that future could be, like to use your dreams in that capacity to manifest forward what your reality would be, instead of to like just let reality take you on a roller coaster ride.
yeah,
And so to hear from the public though, and to get all the text from so the body, obviously there's painted parts, but the body and the figure is all done in text, in handwritten words. And so that is all the dreams and hopes of anyone who submitted.
yeah. And we have a question for you too. Do you ever refuse to put words people give you in your artwork, like for this piece?
Nah, man, I just put them up there.
Yeah,
For this one,
yeah,
I just put them up there. It's like whatever you want to say. And I'm going to be honest, out of the hundreds of people that submitted,
yeah.
no one said anything negative.
Yeah, I think because everybody's looking for the positive right now, right?
Yeah, no one
We're
said anything negative. Everyone
yeah,
was saying stuff that was positive.
yeah,
Like, and that's just like so. I feel like that's a bit of a sneak peek into human nature, to the root of human nature. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with human nature, but at the core,
yeah.
there's that.
So
There's
Chris,
like people wanting to like look out for their families, people wanting to look out for their friends, people wanting to be in community again, people wanting like all this positive stuff.
Yeah. And Chris says essay reflection on Dreamspeak. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
There you go.
That's
And Teresa said mine was a loving message to my boys.
and that was in there.
Yeah. Zara says I did the opposite and I'm now facing back in the city. Not got used to not seeing all people all the time. So Zara moved back from yeah. She's doing the opposite of what you're doing, Brian.
And that's good, man.
Yeah.
It's like if that's what you need, you got to do whatever you need
Yeah.
to do.
Well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna miss having a drink with you at Casbah.
Wow, it doesn't mean that we can't do it. It just means we have to
I know.
plan it.
We never planned it.
We did never plan it, but
I mean, we did. I guess we never planned it. I guess we did. Yeah. Did we?
no, we never planned it. But also we can,
Plan it.
we can plan it.
Okay.
We can get into planning. We could do some planning.
It was the other day, that was like, come on, where's? Oh, yeah, I can't call Brian right now. So that just means you're on my list. So
I think Carl thinks the same thing. He's like, oh, we can't.
I'm all cut. We're gonna make a cut out of you. How's that? Yeah.
That would be actually pretty good. So I did a sculpture at the Golden One Center, and we're finally doing lighting for the Golden One Center for that sculpture 5 years
Oh, right
later.
on.
Long story short, I went into the arena for a meeting, and we're like going around the arena, and there's all these cardboard cutouts of people.
Oh yeah,
Just
right.
to comment on what you were talking about,
Yeah.
like a cardboard cutout of me, and it's like a cardboard cutouts of like all these people. It's like hilarious. It's pretty funny.
Well, before we go, I mean, we're gonna go because what I want to play is something that happens when you go to Oaxaca, right? And I appreciate everybody for coming out here to Cali Cocktail Hour. We are always over the time, so there's no time, right? But you want to come out, and Brian and I will have a show next time, and next time we'll invite Nico, just for our experience in Oaxaca, just because it was a spiritual experience. But Brian did take a picture of me real quick so I can show it to you and what happens when you're in there, right? You feel power.
Lots of power.
Lots of power, yeah. So that was a beautiful trip. I think that was a very special time, but that is like what you experience down there, right? When you drive into the country, it's like a whole different spiritual plane right there. So remember that.
Do you feel like you look different now?
I think so. I got hair now, like my ponytail's up. Yeah.
I feel like I look at pictures of that's just not that long ago, and I feel like a different person.
I do. That's true, right? But everybody out there, like, thank you for coming up for Cali Cocktail Hour. And Brian, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna play the trip that we took to Agua de Yedra, and where nature had its own patterns, and nature. I don't even know how to explain it to you too. So, I grew feathers. That's true. Yeah,
that's true.
So I'm gonna let you, because these are your pictures, and and your first experience here at this place where, there was no fences, it was water, and you were walking on the edge of the mountain, right? And also the just the beauty of nature itself. I think you and I talked about it, but I would really like for you to kind of narrate this segment itself, and we'll talk about it in a second too. Okay, so we're gonna play it. And here we go, everybody. Thank you for coming to Cali Cocktail Hour, and this is Brian, in his sultry voice, right?
Let's do it.
Okay. There you go. All right, here we go.
So this is the walk down to Hierve de Agua, which I am very disappointed in Ruben, because he didn't tell us that we should bring our swimsuits. There's a lot of people who are just enjoying the salt waters and the waters of that, of it's just naturally springing up from the earth. And it creates all of these crazy patterns over many millennia, I'm sure, which is like these rock patterns that have larger and smaller flows, and the colors, like there must be a copper color. There must be copper in that water right there. Or there must be like something that's like flowing through it that makes it this like very like rusty red. And the patterns that are like kind of flowing through this very small area of Oaxaca on the outside, in the mountains there, is like kind of fascinating. I mean, it's a whole show into itself. I really, really believe that these are drawings for me at some point, and
Well,
someday.
they look like it, right?
Yeah, they already look like it, and it's like I may be ruining it by making a drawing of it.
I don't.
Like, but
Yeah.
but it's it. That I wonder if it even looks like that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because now it's like probably 2 years later, almost 2 years later, and I wonder if it's even changed from
You're probably
then.
right. Yeah. And it looks like a drone photograph, right?
It looks like 30,000 feet up, you know, like the Earth from 30,000 feet up. This is only 3,000 feet up, or
And
3 feet up.
yeah, and I
You
love this
know,
one
like,
here.
dude, look how crazy abstract these things are.
Yeah.
These,
And that's like the most beautiful part. Like we don't know what it was, and the crazy part is like there there was no fence at the edge of the mountain, and it was water.
I love that. I love that.
So to me, I was like, oh shit.
Well, okay, so small story. So I went to Mexico City um, before we went to the Oaxaca trip, and we went
Yeah.
to this place called Casa Gelarde. Casa Gelarde is a designer's house. This guy made this house based on his own, like there's no like safety concerns or whatever. So he has this great, you can take tours, and it has this great staircase, this beautiful staircase with these plants that are lining the staircase. And he says, notice there's no rails. The guy who was giving
Yeah.
us the tour, notice there's no rails, because we in Mexico, we love beauty before safety.
I think so too. Yeah. That that pretty much sets it right.
Yeah.
Um, and then it looks like Earth a million years ago, and
Yeah.
and it feels like it too when you're up there, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
just not a
so primordial.
yeah. And Brian, I'm gonna put your this is your website. Anybody wants to come, check out Brian's stuff, and it's an awesome person. We're gonna have part two, so part two may be different. It may be the same, but thank you for coming out to Cali Cocktail Hour, and this is his IG handle, right?
I just want to say thanks to Ruben for bringing me on the podcast. I know we talked about having me on the podcast about a year ago, but
Yeah.
like I feel more grateful to have been on this, because you've perfected it. Look at it.
There should be a little more, right?
You've perfected it. It's like, it looks so good.
But and I'm also glad that people come out here, and if you're that one person that needs to hear that you're loved, you are loved. And thank you for coming out. We're not done yet, but I do want to put a quote out. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing, and thank you, Brian, for coming out and sharing
Thanks.
your heart. What I love. It's like I said, it's not a typical. So what's your technique? What's your this is more about what your feelings, right? What are you thinking about?
There's-
And I appreciate that that you're here to answer
Think
that question.
think
too.
about this.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in every artwork, regardless of technique, or
Yeah.
regardless of like all that, all the things that you want to like just ascribe as to materiality or whatever. And so, I mean, interview any artist probably, and you're gonna get like a story.
Yeah,
that's-
right.
That dives.
And that's what it is. Like like I said, the controversy, the stories, everything else. Because like I said, there's people have different techniques, and people have different lives, right? There's sleepers. There's
You're
non-sleepers.
coming at it from different angles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're coming at your artwork from this angle, right?
Yeah.
And which is like,
It's gonna be the Mexican metaverse now.
yeah, I love the Mexican metaverse. But I mean, what Ribbon? You like went to what you told me that you spun a globe and went like that.
Yeah.
And Oaxaca is where you picked it, and then you went there, and then
called me.
became an artist, a visual artist. You were
Yeah.
always an artist,
Yeah.
but you became a visual artist at that point.
Yeah.
But that's like a beautiful story.
She called me. She came. She embraced me. Right.
She did.
Yeah.
I mean, if I just can't, I can't get behind. I can't get behind like a complete materiality of the world. I feel like there's something else going on. So like that, and that is calling. That called you.
And I think we all are like that too, right? We all have like that. And I think that this with COVID, this whole thing kind of took away one layer closer to what we really are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are starting to realize, like, well, I didn't really want that in my life. I really wanted something different. And it doesn't have to be something grandeur, right? I think people, we're always like something grandeur, but it really is the simple in life, right? The simple things in life that really help us. I remember reading about, and I think it was an Oprah interview where she asked her guest, and his wife passed away, and he was talking about her, and he was saying like, no, I don't remember the trips that we took to Europe, all these trips that we took. He's like, what I remember is being with her in the morning. That's what I miss the most, right?
Yeah.
So we think about things sometimes too much grandeur, right, in our lives, but it really is like, the simple, really easy, like with you. I mean, I'm gonna say that with you, like, I like hanging out, drinking a beer, or blah blah blah. You know what I mean? That was a simple part. That wasn't a complex thing in life, right? That wasn't, we didn't have to go to to Oaxaca to to get to this point, but just in general, like for me, it's human contact, right? Regardless who it is, and
man, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that responding to Chris's question too, which is earlier about hands, and it's like about like touch, and about like that idea that like you're close to somebody, the idea of touch.
Yeah, and that one, like it really, now that you explain it to me, like I can see it, right? In tragedy, what do? We reach out, right? And sometimes we'll get a hand. Yeah, and that's how we do. So, before we go, I want to play this one little. It's a quote, and so like we said, every time we play, there may be some words here and there. So we'll be right back, and it's going to be at 20 seconds. So we'll be right back. This is Mr. Lao Tzu. And we are back. Subliminal.
I feel like that's so poignant. That's so poignant,
right?
But how is Lao Tzu able to sum up very complex issues into 2 sentences?
Yeah, and if you look back, who was Lao Tzu? I don't think Lao Tzu knows who Lao Tzu.
I don't think everyone knows who Lao Tzu was.
It was like a book written, the more you get into it. But, anyways, yeah. So, thank you, Brian. We will have a part 2. Don't you leave yet. I'm going to play the outro. And everybody, thank you for coming out to Cali Cocktail Hour. We'll be here next Friday, and we'll have some cool stuff. And yeah, thank you for coming out. Thank you, Brian. Before we go, everybody, though, we will take one more little, because we're not driving anywhere.
Well, I'm home. So
that's what I'm saying. So, everybody out there, thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. And I am grateful that I'm doing this show. Grateful that you were out there, and I know that wonderful. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. And I know that people are going to be going out
Thank you,
Friday,
Chris.
so the viewership's going to go down because California is opening up. But I'll be here, every Friday night for you, even if you have to like maybe skip things. Because one thing I learned that which is really interesting, is the writer of Emotional Intelligence was talking about like how we are like the news is geared to hit your the most primal part of your life and to be and in fear, right? Because when they do that, you start to react, right? And sometimes, like I said, I stop watching the news. I stop watching that because of that that way. Even if it's the news that I would probably prefer, I'm starting to realize that's really, it's just a marketing a marketing thing for them too.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. And what I mean? That's like,
I think
Yeah.
like
Please tell.
they're very much in the media are promoted towards making money.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like it's not about information, the dissemination of information, as much as it is about making money.
Yeah.
And so what makes money? Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like controversy, all these kind of things. It's like Ruben, like if we started like arguing,
Yeah. And that would be
that would be a good controversy. We're not going to argue, but
and I am going to go back to Oprah, and that's what she said about her show way back in the day. They wanted her to do this. They thought she was going to fail. She had everything against her, right? And she's like, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm an empath. I want to do things about feelings, and I want to do things about like what I emote to, right?" And and sensitive artists are sensitive, right?
Do you think it took her time though? It took her time to be able to gain the power to be able to do that.
And she did, but she did what she, and I love the fact that she's talking to about emotional intelligence. She's like, I am so much, like I don't have the, she'll say like I don't have the IQ, but I have the EQ, right? And so to me, that's like, I love that. I love the fact that
That's like I love Oprah for some reason.
Yeah. And we just need to, like I said, it is hard to love each other. We have so many differences, so many cultural differences, everything else. But in the end, we are vibrational beings. We are, we all have the same issues, which would be, a Buddhist saying. We all suffer in the same way. We're all just trying to figure out life, right? And we should be compassionate toward each other.
It's a very Buddhist thought.
Yeah, and and it is sometimes some things people will say to us, that we're trying to, react to, but I don't want to be a reactionary myself. I want to be a compassionate person and know that.
But you always, as a reactionary person, you always regret it.
I know that's one thing. That's
you
true.
know what I mean. You're gonna always regret it. But like being a compassionate person, you never regret it.
Yeah, that's true.
So then you like think of it selfishly. You know what I mean? Like you are not going to experience this other pain where you think you did something wrong later down the line.
Yeah.
By being compassionate.
And most people, like when you do be compassionate toward people, like 99% of the time when you're into like, a discussion and you're being compassionate toward them and they're just like spewing their stuff and you're not reacting, 99% of the time they're going to call you the next morning and go, I'm so sorry I said that to you, right?
Right.
Because you're not giving it to them. So, Myra, thank you for coming out, Myra. We appreciate you too. And much like I promised, call you back, Rubes. Yeah, see? Be well in the beautiful country be. Right? So everybody, thank you for coming out for Cali Cocktail Hour. We love you. If that's what you heard us here, to say, or to hear, or to say, or to hear to say, right?
So props to Omar for making these glasses.
Yes.
Omar Rodriguez.
And Hernandez, I'm
sorry. God damn it. Sorry.
I know. I told you not to do that, Brian. We're still on the air.
I know.
Anyways, everybody out there, again, thank you for coming out tonight. And we will do part 2 with Brian. And Brian, thank you so much for coming out and
Thanks,
not exposing your feelings, but emoting your feelings, right? And it was beautiful. And there's so much more artwork that that I would really love to get back into with your
Tip of the
stuff too.
iceberg.
Yeah, and the Oaxaca show. So
Well, I think that the Oaxaca show would be great, and if there was someone out there who would be willing to host a room full of amazing photos by Ruben,
yeah,
and myself,
Brian. Yes, that's right. And some
we
mezcal
would, and some
with
mezcal,
mezcal tasting too.
we would love a hierve de agua, like a
Yeah,
steamed show.
I think you should really. I mean, those are some fucking beautiful pictures. I really do think.
Yeah,
I
but
saw
like,
them today.
you have taken just as
Look,
beautiful pictures.
it's not about me. It's about you. Everybody else, good
Not about
night.
you. It's not about.
Do not leave yet, Brian. But this is the outro. Good friends of ours. We'll be right back. I mean, next Friday, right? Good night.
Maybe I've seen my dad, and I'm alive to kill the time. What triggers the idea of la da da da? La da da da. La da da da. La da da da. La da da. Well, I've lived this